Right, so today I want to talk about this story from Global, and the CCFR responds by saying, a former neighbor of the gunman behind last month's mass shooting in Nova Scotia says that she reported his domestic violence and cache of firearms to the RCMP years ago and ended up leaving the community herself due to fears of his violence. Um, and this is just a terrible, terrible story for so many reasons. It's not even funny. The first one, and the main point I wanted to get at here is, what is the RCMP and what is the government doing when it comes to this kind of stuff? And like I said, I think that in some ways it's hard for me to think that there isn't people who want this stuff to happen. I don't say that lightly, but for the simple reason that how can you be so incompetent that, and like I said, I refuse to believe. At least I wouldn't say I refuse. I think a better way of saying it is, I think it's unlikely to say that people, working in like these are people working in policing, like they're supposed to know this kind of stuff. Like this guy had basically attempted to kill someone, like when he was younger. I mean, him and his friend, came out of their dentist office and started beating up the kid that was outside his office, and ended up hitting him with a crowbar, and I think kicking him in the head with steel-toed boots. Like how that isn't attempted murder is beyond me. He somehow got off with probation. Again, I have no idea why, how that happened. He probably had to pay someone off, I'm guessing, to do that. But again, this guy has a clear history. Blatantly obvious. It's not like this is a secret. This isn't a secret. He had a clear criminal history. He had, I think I've heard reports of other people that have reported him to the police and said, yeah, this guy's scary. You know, talking about this kind of stuff. And yet the RCMP does nothing. Not even a knock on his door, a conversation. Like what's going on? Like what is going on? And like I say, he had guns that just turned out to be illegal. And even if he did have them legally, you're talking about a guy who again had although it technically wasn't, he basically tried to kill someone. He had multiple people reporting him to the police. Now again, I don't believe that just because you're reported to the police, people saying you're violent, that makes you violent. Because there's a lot of people that are anti-gun, that hate your politics, that will report you just because they're a-holes. But this is a case to where, um, if you have a clear history of violence, I don't give you the benefit of the doubt. You don't deserve, if you've been a Boy Scout your whole life and someone reports you, yeah, you deserve the benefit of the doubt. But if you've done stuff like what he did in his past, you don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Someone should have checked into this. And not to mention too, like who was the person that signed off on him being a, because like I say, if you're on probation, someone has to, I assume, because when you're on probation, you have a probation officer that monitors your what you're doing in life. Um, and I would assume that they have to sign off on saying, yeah, this person's rehabilitated, they're good to be a everyday citizen. Like, where is this kind of stuff? And the thing that bothers me, the most too, is that there's millions of gun owners in Canada that have to suffer now because of the RCMP and the government's incompetence. And like I say, I think it's possible that they flat out want this kind of stuff to happen. Like I say, I don't say that lightly, but again, I'm not sure how you can be so incompetent to let this kind of stuff go on. And like I say, a possible solution is that, hey, they kind of want stuff like this to happen, because when bad stuff like this happens, well, guess what? The government, the police, all the like I said, all these government agencies, they get more power, they get more funding, which means more money and more power for these kind of people. And if anything, the opposite should be happening. I would argue the opposite should be happening, is that if you guys screw up, you get punished. If the government bought you, like this whole virus situation, the government, these MPs, they should be getting pay cuts. You guys botched this whole situation. The Tams and Haydus of the world should be fired and never get a job for the rest of their life. I don't think I'm more competent than those people, and I'm not a doctor. And again, like, yeah, you're not a doctor. You can't criticize Tam. Well, I don't care. She clearly and blatantly botched this situation. Like, it's not even funny the degree that they botched this situation. So, um, yeah, I just wanted to make a video about this because, like I say, it's we gun owners in Canada right now are getting raked over the coals for no good reason whatsoever. We know gun owners pose no greater of a risk to society than the average person, which means that people think that, oh, yeah, if we have more guns, then there's going to be more murders. You at least have to admit that as a gun owner. Well, no, that's not the case. Because if that's true, then why aren't gun owners more likely to commit murder than non-gun owners? I've made videos about this. I've proven that. I've made videos about this, about the states, proven that. There's no debate on that. And what that would say is, if anything, gun owners are less likely. And in the States, they actually go on to show that in most cases. Um, but like I said, this is absolutely crazy. Like even Bill Blair admitted that gun owners pose no greater of a safety threat to the public, and yet they're still turning around and banning. They're going to spend billions of dollars to ban guns that commit like one murder a year. uh, how does that make any sense whatsoever? Again, this is the reason why the way that governments and our entire society is set up is bound to fail. It's bound to fail. And again, I've been railing against this, but again, so many people, the vast majority of the people watching this probably well aware of it, but so many people in the general public just completely oblivious to this, that when the government screws up, they get a pay raise. Like imagine in your job, like just imagine in your job, if you made a mistake that got people killed, not only do you not get sued for gross incompetence or whatever the exact word would be, not only do you not get just fired if you're lucky, you get a pay raise, you get promoted. Like that's the equivalent to what's going on here. Again, the government, the RCMP and these kind of people completely botched this entire situation. And I'm talking about the whole gun laws, the whole virus thing, even this situation too. Like this could have easily been prevented if we just taken this seriously too. And like I say, I don't think people say, oh, the solution is red flag laws. And what they don't understand is that we already have de facto red flag laws in Canada. If someone calls the police and says, my spouse or, my neighbor is threatening me and he owns guns or she owns guns, the RCMP has more than enough power to go into their house and to confiscate their guns. Nobody denies this, at least nobody who actually knows what they're talking about. And a lot of the times is even if you're found innocent, it's still very hard to get your guns back. If anything, we've gone too far with these laws. And the problem is these people still think that we don't have this kind of stuff. Like they're so ignorant of reality, it's not even funny. Like not even funny how ignorant of reality they or ignorant to reality they are. So anyway, again, I just wanted to make a video about this because, like I say, gun owners are getting raked over the coals for no good reason right now. And like I say, the RCMP could have prevented this. The government could have prevented this kind of stuff. And like I say, the only way that society is going to improve is if we punish people for screwing up and reward them for doing the right thing, for saving lives and this kind of stuff. And the problem is it's the exact opposite. Like the government knows that, hey, if we let people die, we can get more power because we can convince the sheeple, to give us more power because, oh, well, the only reason these people die is the government didn't have enough power. The government, there's not enough regulations. And sure enough, the sheep and the general public goes along with it, and they beg the government to take more freedoms and get more power and more socialism and more crap. And the cycle repeats, and the cycle is going to repeat until it blows up in our faces. And the problem is that when it does blow up, the people who created the problem, who implemented the problem, they're not going to suffer, which is why they don't care. You think Justin Trudeau's going to suffer if the economy, if we go into a Great Depression? No, of course not. He's a trust fund kid. He's worth millions of dollars. Of course he's not going to suffer. You think most of these MPs are going to suffer? Of course they're not. They're making their $150,000-$200,000 a year to sit on their butt and do nothing, to do a job that anybody could do. Um, so, like I say, they don't care. They don't care. And until people wake up and realize this, nothing's going to change. In fact, things are just going to keep getting worse. So anyway, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal and email. I got linked in the description. Again, I appreciate any donations, but at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And last couple things, as always, check out my Twitter if you haven't already. Again, I just got Twitter, so check me out there, and check out my BitChute channel as well. Again, I just got, sorry, I didn't just get BitChute, but check me out, check everything out. It's all in the description. You can find it all there. Please, please follow me. Again, I really appreciate it.